folks. So on social media, I made the promise that if we passed $2,000 in donations, I would make a cooking demo video for you all. And well, we passed $2,000, and I'm a man of my word, so I'm going to do a little cooking demo. What I'm going to make is something I think is really easy and simple for anyone to put together, really. It's going to be a nice, easy thing to do with the kids if you want to engage in that kind of activity to get them a little occupied for part of your day. And yeah, I think it has a lot of stuff that's already in your pantries. If not, should still be pretty easy to procure, but I think most of the stuff are some decent staples. So without further ado, I'm going to make a very quick mug cake with a salted caramel to just pour right on top. It's pretty delicious. It's pretty addictive because we make it almost nightly. Yeah. Anyhow, let's go. So, what goes in this? Pretty self-explanatory. Flour. We use gluten-free flour because we're a gluten-less household. But you can use regular flour. It's really no big deal. Either way, this is actually a recipe that I got using regular flour and just substituted the gluten-free flour. This is how easy the recipe is to just do whatever you want with. So flour, sugar, milk, butter, baking soda, cocoa powder, vanilla. For the caramel, we have sour cream, brown sugar, also butter. Both really simple microwave recipes, so if you have a microwave, super easy to do this. So yeah, let's get going. To start, I always make the caramel first because it's something you can get out of the way, and then we'll sit, and if anything, it's better that it cools off and thickens a little bit after it comes right out of the microwave. So for this, we're going to take the butter, and we want 1 tablespoon of butter. This guy, it's pretty easy. It has little lines. Just like right up here. You don't need to take precise measurements for this at all. I normally just eyeball it because, again, all of this is just easy, couple things in the microwave, and it's done. So like that. It's just going to go in the microwave real fast, 30 seconds. So when it's done, after 30 seconds, my butter is normally pretty much all melted. I've used other butters in the past that haven't been quite as melted. It's totally fine if your tablespoon of butter didn't completely melt after the 30 seconds. It's going to have more time in the microwave. It's going to get all delicious. Just trust me, don't worry. Next up in this little guy is 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. So I got my first one right here. Go in a second. And then it's a tablespoon of sour cream. The recipe that I got this from actually called for a tablespoon of regular cream. So if you have regular cream instead of sour cream, by all means use it. The first time I ever made this, I did not have cream. I just had sour cream. And it turned out really delicious, and I have not gone back since. So I strongly recommend sour cream for this. And then just a little bit of salt right in there. And you just take a fork. It's really just a fork. Mix it all up. Then you pop it back in the microwave for 30 more seconds. So now it kind of a little bit more caramelized all together. Just give it another quick stir. Then 15 more seconds in the microwave. After 15 seconds, it's all done. Give it a quick little extra stir, but that's your caramel. It's going to thicken up a little bit as it cools down. That's why I always do it first. But yeah. So now onto the good stuff, the actual cake. For this, I have a pretty decent sized mug, my hand for reference. It's one of those like nice bowl mugs you'd find at a Panera Bread. Not that it's from a Panera bread, definitely not. But anywho, what this requires is 1/4 cup of sugar, already measured out, 1/4 cup of flour, which just helps to make this really easy to remember. It uses a lot of the same measurements for things. 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. I normally use like the special dark stuff because I'm a huge dark chocolate fan, but it's a pandemic and everybody raided the stores, so you go with what you got. Baking soda, for such a small amount, you're only going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon. So if you don't have 1/8 of a teaspoon, because I feel like something some people might not often have, kind of just eyeball a 1/4 teaspoon and like have it. Again, it's a pretty simple recipe. It's hard to really screw up. If you want to measure, it's 1/8 a teaspoon of salt. I normally just like grab like a good pinch of salt and throw it in there because a pinch is like 1/8 of a teaspoon. Mix all these things together and then we'll get into the wet ingredients. So mix it all together with your fork. Kind of looks like this. Now, next thing I do, start browning butter. So this is 2 tablespoons of butter. Another variation of the recipe I found because it called for just canola oil. If you can, use butter because it just makes baked goods so much better. And then I don't even just use melted butter, I brown the butter. So we'll come back to that in a second when it's all browned and delicious. So while that's browning, we're going to do some of the other liquid ingredients. First one being just a tablespoon of water, a little bit of extra moisture to help. Then we get 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. And 3 tablespoons of milk. And then just mix that up a little bit so it's ready for the butter when the butter's ready. So it's just starting to turn a little blonde and into brown. I'm gonna let it go for another couple seconds, get a little bit darker. There we go. Now, no need to be worried, there's no eggs or anything in this to actually cook, so you can just throw it right on in the mug. And you just mix with your fork. Go in with the spatula. If you don't have a spatula, a spoon will do, just to make sure you get up all the dry stuff on the bottom. Now for my microwave, I throw it in for 1 minute and 35 seconds. That might be different for yours. I started out with it being 1 minute and 40 seconds and kind of scaled back from there because the recipe that I found was like 1 minute and 50 seconds. My microwave's pretty powerful. Yours might not be as much. You might need a little extra time. Again, there's plenty of wiggle room. It's one little cake, so it's not the worst thing in the world if you overcook it, and particularly with the caramel, it's hard for it to be dry. So, now into the microwave. So this is what it looks like when it is all completed. It started to pull away from the sides a little bit, as cakes tend to do. It kind of rose and then fell a little bit, just because it's a simple microwave cake, so there's not too much holding it together, but just enough. to make it delicious and compact and an individual little tasty treat. Although normally we split this, sometimes we feel really ambitious in our eating goals and I'll make two, but we try and just split something this big. It's pretty easy to double though if you want to split it because it's also pretty good. So now with it being done, we're just going to take the caramel, give it a last little stir, and then just pour that guy over. Let it kind of run down the sides there. That's it. It's a microwave mug cake. It's really delicious, so I hope you enjoy. If you don't send me hate mail because that would be devastating.